Well, new CBS News polling is providing insight into how some Americans view the latest Trump indictment. It shows half of the voters asked think the former president attempted to stay in office illegally following the 2020 election. And most Americans polled see that as having broader implications for the nation. So I want to break this down with the latest polling numbers. I want to bring in Executive Director of Elections and Surveys, Anthony Salvanto. We are going to talk, Anthony. So I'm going to actually start with a question that I asked you kind of in the break, to break down that number right there. Yeah. And you know, so often when we talk, the results of these polls really do break down along party lines, who you voted for. So I'm curious about who this 51% is.
And I think the second part of what you said in the intro, Anne-Marie, which was the implications for democracy, are really the thing that stands out for me here looking at these numbers, which is to say that the bulk of Americans believe what they witnessed after 2020 was a president trying to stay in power beyond his term. But there is, of course, question about whether or not that was through legal means or constitutional means or not.
Right.
So let me start with these folks. This is half the nation that believes that he was trying to stay in office by illegal or unconstitutional means, right? So what does that imply for them? They think that would mean undermining democracy, for one thing. And it also means, I'll show you that's a majority of the country then think that's undermining democracy. But then the implications for these indictments means for them, they see it as upholding the rule of law. They see it as protecting democracy, right? But then there's that group, and I'm going to go back to these folks a second, and I'll show you the ones who think that Donald Trump was trying to stay in office by legal means, and this is the key point for them.
Yeah.
They believe Donald Trump's unproven claims about election fraud. They, like most Republicans, still say they don't think Joe Biden was legitimately elected. And so you see some of the thinking behind their opinion that when they say it was, in their view, through legal means.
So, Anthony, this seems particularly interesting as you talk about whether he gets the nomination. But when we move into a general election, how does this apply?
Well, I think that's a key question because it tells us what does the campaign look like. And I think even before we get there, Donald Trump's Republican opponents for the nomination, right? When we poll and we ask, do you want someone who criticizes Donald Trump? That answer is majority no, right? So when we ask people in the abstract, what do you want in a candidate? Do you want someone like Donald Trump? The answer for many is yes. So it breaks down that the Republican Party and the Republican base, especially those who vote in the primaries, are saying they want someone just like Donald Trump. And, oh, by the way, he's running. So that explains why he's got that big lead in all the polls, including in ours, right? And, again, to your point about what happens in the general, well, those folks don't necessarily think that's a detriment, all of this, for Donald Trump in the general, because they see these indictments as politically motivated, right? They see these indictments as trying to stop him and stop his campaign. So they're not necessarily putting that into a negative context at all.
And it would explain why so many of the candidates are tiptoeing around him in the indictment, and why a candidate like, say, the former Vice President, Mike Pence, who has increasingly been openly critical and is also central to this prosecution, he's not polling so well. And you think he'd be doing great. He's a former VP, right?
Yeah, and so on that point, but I add another beat to this, the personal connection here. And it does speak to, I think, both these questions. Among other things, and I mentioned this, Republicans thinking these indictments are an attempt to stop the Trump campaign, but also this one that stood out. They see it as a personal attack on people like them. And you can hear echoes of some of the former president's stump speeches in this when he says things that, insinuate this is the case.
They're trying to get to you. They just got to go through me first.
Yeah, right. Things like that. Well, there's a difference between Republicans who consider themselves MAGA and Republicans who don't. But this number really stands out because you see that personal connection there, which also describes how they see the former president, but also how they're interpreting all of this.
Yeah. Wow. It's fascinating. I always love your snapshot by the numbers, Anthony.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for being here.